I've played about 1 hour of Monster Hunter Wilds, and yeah, I can confirm that it is way better than Seikret. Sadly, I didn't get to record any of my gameplay at Gamescom, but there's plenty of footage out there online, so hopefully I can use that to illustrate my points a little bit. Let's kick this off by talking about the burb. With the sheer sizes of the maps and the semi-open world format, Seikret is pretty important. With him, you can run around a lot faster and can go to places that only he can take you. I really like how you can control him manually, but you can also set him to this like autopilot setting, kind of like a fucking Tesla. His whole thing is mobility and utility, so I don't really think that you'll catch him fighting beside you. But the truth is, it doesn't have to, because that's the Palico's job. He will usually just hover around the hunt and get new supplies from Alma and be called to switch weapons or whenever you really need him. I do think that Seikret is an overall improvement over the mounts that we've had in the past, such as the Raider rides and the Palamutes. As you may know, our feathered friend can carry a second weapon of our choosing. Now, excuse me, but I can't really make this segment too funny because I do have a couple of genuine concerns. Number 1, we still don't know how this mechanic will affect builds. Imagine you make a greatsword build that has skills like Focus, Agitator, and other core skills that you might need. If your decos and skills remain the same, then you wouldn't really be able to say something like a bow, right? Well, you would be able to use it, but perhaps just not as efficiently as possible. I am aware that weapons will have skills, and I do hope that this will address the literal skill issue that might happen. Otherwise, only a handful of weapon combinations will be properly viable. I do have another concern, which is the fact that apparently every hunt will turn into some fucked up orchestra. What I mean here is that yes, it's been confirmed that hunting horn buffs will stay with you even after you swap weapons. And I'm sure you all can see how this would be a significant advantage in a hunt. However, the devs did say that they're aware of this potential issue and they are actively working on leveling the playing field for everybody. And honestly, I don't really want to pry too much here. I don't see a reason to be too upset even if this is the case because I play for the fun factor, not efficiency. But it would be cool to not have the hunting horn be the absolute S-tier second weapon. Anyway, let's shift our focus over to focus mode. Oh shit, oh my god, I can't believe I wrote that. A few of you expressed some concerns regarding focus mode, so I just want to set your mind at ease. You don't really need to use it. At all. Focus mode goes hand in hand with the wounding mechanic. Basically, if you hit a monster enough times, you can press the left trigger to go into focus mode, and then you can press the right bumper to do a focus strike and pop the wound to deal a bunch of damage. However, if you do hit that wound enough times without using focus strikes, not only are you going to deal enough damage, but you will be able to pop it as well. So it seems like focus mode is more of a suggestion rather than something mandatory. In fact, I would say that focus mode is more of an X-ray vision where you can highlight the wounds on the monster and, the reticle gives you an extra bit of precision if you so need it. And yes, it's also the only way to use focus strikes, but other than that, the moveset that you have in focus mode is exactly the same as when you're outside of focus mode, except for the fact that you gain your focus strike. My honest advice would be to hit the wound normally a few times for extra damage and then use a focus strike to proc the wound. The reason as to why I'm putting so much emphasis on proccing these wounds is because if you don't, the wound will seal up and you won't be able to create any more wounds on that part of the monster for the rest of the hunt, which means you're going to be losing out on quite a lot of damage. Yep, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. And honestly, I really like that. Again, don't worry, I'm sure a decent hunter can proc the wounds on the monster without entering focus mode at all. I mean, if I did it, anybody can do it. So don't worry too much about learning focus mode if it's something that doesn't tickle your fancy. However, one thing that I strongly recommend you learn is perfect block. This is really simple. If you block just as the monster is about to hit you, you can deny the attack and you can even use counter moves depending on your weapon. So if you do play a weapon that can block, then I would get in the habit of blocking at the last second. And honestly, one of the main reasons for this is because blocking certain moves will trigger power clashes. And oh my god! This is my second favorite thing about this game so far, with the first being Gemma. I would power clash with her any day. The brutality that is you and this giant creature going head to head in a battle of pure strength is amazing. It just looks so cool, and I heard that there will be skills out there that will increase the damage you deal if you win. So make sure you guys learn blocking now, my friends, because it will be very handy later on. Let me just say this right now, I hear a lot of you guys acting tough saying things like,
I'll be going to hurt myself.
dude, you got no idea what you're getting yourself into. In Wilds, you're gonna have herds of all shapes and sizes. You can have a massive herd of Karaptonoffs out in the field touching grass, barely doing any damage to you, or you can have a 3 Doshuguma herd that will literally tear you to pieces. In the build that I played, there were 6 big monsters. One was Rey Dau, 2 smaller Balaharas, 2 smaller Doshugumas, and then 1 alpha Doshuguma. You can use this new and bigger version of a Dongpod to separate the entire herd, or you can just lead the alpha away more naturally via the Seikret. But bro, you are tripping balls if you think you can take all 3 of them right off the bat. Maybe in the late game, sure, but taking on multiple monsters like this is no easy task. Needless to say, these herd mechanics are incredible. It fills up the map really nicely, and plus it's just really cool to see how the monsters behave in different groups. When I was playing multiplayer, me and my friends split up a Doshuguma pack. The alpha stayed to fight, one of the smaller ones ran off to the nest, and the other one just fucked shit up in the background. I really want to see how different herds will behave because the Balahara ones can create traps and such, so it's gonna be really cool to see. Honestly, this was by far the most brilliant addition in this game. Speaking of brilliant, let's talk about Rey Dau, because they actually made a monster out of a police taser, and I'm quite impressed, I'm not gonna lie. I always get a little bit concerned with flying wyverns because there are just so many of them and they share so many base moves, but Rey Dau is not like other girls. It is a strong, independent monster with really unique attacks. Even the way he flies around was unlike anything I've ever seen in Monster Hunter. And he also does a really good job at showcasing how stronger monsters can have actual impacts on the environment and the map itself with their attacks. But I don't really want to talk about it too much because if anything, I don't want to spoil the fun for you. I want you to see it with your own eyes for the first time. Perhaps you've already pieced this together, but the main thing about Wilds is immersion. The game really is putting emphasis on the fact that this is the monsters world and you just so happen to live in it. The new environment system adds a whole new layer to combat, and I hope you're good at multitasking here, bud, because paying attention to the monster alone is no longer enough. If any of you played Helldivers 2 when a meteor shower hits, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. To give you an example, I was hunting a Doshuguma when suddenly a storm hit, and now I'm not only fighting the ugliest bear alive, I'm also fighting Zeus. The priority shifted from killing the monster to just surviving. Oh, but Ark, that sounds like it's gonna be a real pain in the ass. I hear ya, but trust me, it's not that bad. Remember how earlier I was talking about Wilds focuses on immersion and you're just a part of these ecosystems? I really meant it. You see, before I started my hunt, I noticed these strange icons on the map that looked like lightning rods. And I also noticed that there were male Karaptonoffs nearby. You know, the ones with the huge spikes sticking out their backs? The spikes that kinda resemble a lightning rod. So whenever a storm hit, I made sure that I was around one of these and life became way simpler. The environmental system is such an incredible addition to this franchise, and it just makes me so curious. Like, I really want to see what kind of crazy stuff will happen in the other maps. This is where we get a bit more serious and technical because I want to talk about performance. A lot of you guys have expressed your concerns regarding playing this game on your PS5. In fact, a lot of you PC players out there have been contacting me asking me if I know what minimum specs would be needed for Wilds. The builds that I played were running on the PS5, and it wasn't too smooth. It was running at an unstable 30 frames if I have to be honest. However, I don't think judging performance this early on makes an awful lot of sense. The demo builds that I experienced were as bare bones as it gets, meaning that optimization and performance was not so much as a priority as just making sure that the game works. Honestly, I really applaud the Monster Hunter team for doing this because I think it takes a lot of balls to pull what the lead devs did. They brought their most anticipated game to a global gaming event and made it playable even knowing that it's far from stable. This is not what most devs would class as a pro-business move because it can attract negative attention. Do I think that the game will run at a stable 60 FPS on consoles? Honestly, no, but as someone who hasn't been playing on consoles for a long time, I am more likely to be wrong than I am to be right. With that in mind, let me give you some closing thoughts here for today's video. There are two main reasons as to why I waited a bit longer than most creators before I made my first impressions video. Number one, I'm still in the honeymoon phase and I didn't want that to affect my judgment. Number two, I'm just busy. I wanted to sit back a little bit and think over everything that I experienced so that I can give you my honest impression. And despite the fact that it is far from perfect, I can safely say that Wilds is shaping up to be the best Monster Hunter game we've seen. Like I said, I still have some concerns like meta building, weapon swapping, performance, but overall it looks very promising. The story and the NPCs seem pretty interesting. The mount fits perfectly into the world design. The combat is fun and it seems pretty diverse. The new monsters look and feel impeccable. The herd mechanic is one of the most brilliant additions I've ever seen. And the environmental changing system is again one of the most incredible decisions they could have made. And although yes, there are a couple of performance issues, I'm sure that the game will look a lot smoother down the road when it's properly optimized. But that's all you're getting from me today. If you liked the video or if you maybe had a giggle at something that I said, then bless me with a like and maybe even a subscription. It's free. You can totally unsubscribe later on if you don't like the channel. Tell me in the comments what excites you the most about Wilds, because I'm very curious to know what you guys that maybe have played the game or maybe haven't have to say. I'll catch you guys later. Stay safe, and until we meet again.